someone asked you what your talents are, like what you're good at, what would you tell them?
By the way, welcome back to our Not So Simplified podcast with Eric and Lainey, and let's get into it. So let's talk about this. Let's give you guys a little bit of backstory on this question. So Delaney is actually the one that brought this to my attention. Why don't you tell them what happened?
Okay, so I was watching, as everyone does, scrolls on TikTok.
Doom
Um,
scrolling.
I know we're all guilty of it at some point. I don't doom scroll a lot, but I did come across this video. It had Reese Witherspoon for some reason.
I do love that.
And we love her. She's a very successful actress.
Exactly. So the credibility is there.
The credibility is there. And she said she was giving this young person on the phone like some advice because they asked for advice. Like I think they're like trying to get into the acting world as well. And she said she asked them what their talents were. And she said that the person that she was talking to said she was really struggling to give her an answer and really think of something. And she ended up being like, I don't know. And she proceeds to be like, okay, that's where you are going to go wrong. Because she's like, everyone says chase your dreams, do that, follow your dreams. Like, if that's what you're really passionate about. She said, you need to know what your talents are. You need to know what you're good at and something that you're passionate about, almost like a hobby. If something you're really good at and it's like a hobby of yours. If you're really good at something, she said, instead of chasing your dreams, chase your talents.
I do love that so much. I think that that's amazing because it's a new perspective, and that's what I feel like my TikTok is all like inspirational shit. I do love that. It's a new perspective. It's something that makes you think. It's something that makes you ponder, like, what are my talents? And then it got us thinking over coffee today. We're like, what are we good at? What are we chasing?
Yeah.
And it's like you could say like, well, I'm creative. I like talking about this. I'm really good at character development. Like I can look at somebody and really pinpoint what they would be good at in terms of characters and film, in terms of an entertainment sense, someone's strengths and weaknesses, what they could improve on from entertainment, and what they could, exceed at.
Right.
So it got us thinking, and we were really thinking, and it's a hard question to answer.
It is hard, and that's why it stuck with me so much because I sent it to you. Because, like, not as... I didn't know, actually, if you were going to take it, like, the right way or not.
Oh, my God, no, I loved it.
Because,
I was like, yes.
When I listened to it, I was like, that's so interesting. Because, you might have a dream to do something, but you might not be, like, super good at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that you really like or something, like, you wish you could do, but it's, like, a dream of yours. And so not everyone's supposed to chase their dreams in a sense, but you should chase after something that you're talented at, something that you enjoy doing, something you're passionate about, because like you can change that hobby into something you're getting paid for. That could be your career in a sense, and it's like, well, I'm already doing this anyway because I love it and I'm not getting paid for it. And I feel like that is how we are with the podcast, because we just naturally enjoy having these conversations.
And I think I think we have a way with our words.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think that when we sit down and we record with each other, we could be like, okay, we want to inspire people.
Yeah.
Through talking about entertainment, through talking about our own dreams, our own struggles, our own, even shortcomings, because every time you don't reach the expectation that you set for yourself, it's all a learning lesson. It's all something where you're like, well, that didn't work out, but how can I grow from this? I feel like we're really good at picking ourselves up off the floor if we have something that we shoot for and then all of a sudden we keep missing the target and we keep being like, back to square one. I think we're really good at redefining ourselves and pulling ourselves out of that rut.
I like, honestly, it's so funny because having this, we weren't even planning on recording today.
No.
So, but we were having this conversation over coffee. We went to a coffee shop and, we're just like chatting. and we were not planning on recording, and I was talking about this with you, and we've been going through like kind of a hardship with
We have.
the podcast. It's been more difficult, I think, than we've ever experienced. And so we're just kind of trying to pull ourselves up. And the fact that I was talking about this and you're like, I feel inspired, like I think we should go record an episode right now. Like there's so many times, like I think the most important thing, and this can go for like anybody that is going through a hard time, or you're trying to make something work and it just like all these obstacles keep coming across, and it's like the most important thing is that no matter how many times you get knocked down, it's all about how many times can you get back up.
Yeah, and you don't let discouragement ruin a good thing, because if
Exactly.
it's not going according to plan, and we're guilty of that. That's what I'm saying. We're humanizing ourselves. We're not saying like we're experts, like we pick ourselves up all the time. Like there's like weeks or, you know, things that we go through where we get really discouraged, and it's like, what are we even doing this for? You know, for 4 people to watch it, you know, however many people watch it. And it's like, but then it's like you see the bigger picture, you feel it in your soul. And that's where you really find your calling, is when you keep going back to something and you wake up and you're like, okay, we're not going to record today. Like, we're just going to do this. We're going to go to a coffee shop. We're going to do like a fun little, you know, TikTok. And then that's it. We're going to call it a day. And then you start talking and you're like, no, we have to record. Like we have to put this out there in the ether because we feel drawn to do it. And I think that's when, you know, and that's what brings us to our talents. It's like pinpointing a talent is like, okay, we are good with telling, you know, first of all, we're self-aware. You could say maybe that's a talent. First of all, self-aware. If you define talent,
it is a talent.
What
I feel like
is
a lot
a
of people
talent?
aren't.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
What is a talent? That's another question.
Yeah.
Because you can't even define necessarily what a talent is, because talent means something different to every person.
Yeah.
Someone could say like, oh, I'm really talented at being on time. And you could be like, well, that's not a talent. That's weird. But to that person, maybe they were always late.
Mm-hmm.
When like 10 years ago, they were always late, and that's something they had to overcome. So now to them, every time they're on time to something, they feel successful. They feel like they did something good. They're talented at being on time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It could be literally anything. It could be like, I'm talented at making a cup of coffee at home. Like, and it's like,
yeah.
Some people might be like, oh, like, I feel like that's just like normal. Like, you should just be able to like make coffee at home, and it should be, you're probably going to like it if you make it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like so many people don't drink coffee at home because they have a hard time making a good cup of coffee, so they feel like they have to go to a coffee shop and go get a good, you know, latte, like a good, like a 10 out of 10 latte.
But everything that you do, practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
And the hardest part is starting. I mean, look at us with the podcast. Like if you're new here, we've been doing this for almost 6 years.
Long time.
Which is crazy. We're a COVID baby. So, you know, when we first started, we look back and we're like, those episodes are really cringy. But then you keep growing over time and you get better and you start doing things. And like, we are kind of like experienced podcasters at this point. You might not think so, because you're like, well, you don't have that many followers. But it's not necessarily about that.
Yeah.
It's about the commitment and the dedication, the devotion to show up and perform whatever your duty is, even if you don't feel like you're at the level that you want to be at yet.
Right. And
practice makes perfect.
And like, to me, like, going back to the question from Reese.
Thank you, Reese.
Reese Witherspoon asking us the question of, what are your talents? What is something you're good at? When she said the girl was like, I don't know, I resonated with that, because I think if Reese Witherspoon asked me on the phone, what are your talents? In the moment, I would have been like, I wouldn't have known what to say. I don't know. Like 3-4 years ago, I would have said astrology, tarot, because that's something I did religiously all the time. I was very knowledgeable on it. I don't really practice that as much as I used to, so I don't feel like an expert, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I still know like a decent amount, but I wouldn't say that to somebody if they asked me right now. So my answer would have been, I don't know. And after having our conversation this morning, I'm like, podcasting.
Yeah.
Podcasting is my personal talent. Now, if you would have asked me 6 years ago what my talents were, I would have never in a million years would have said podcasting.
No.
And that's when podcasting was like super, like, kind of not new, but it wasn't popular. So it just like, it was like kind of getting there, because obviously, like, why would we have wanted to start a podcast? We're like, let's just try it.
Yeah.
Like, we were kind of like, let's just do it. And I think sometimes struggle to remember that we started this out of pure fun.
Yeah.
We did this because we thought it'd be fun, thought it'd be cool. Like, oh my God, like, let's just talk about things and like put it out to the world. And over time, we're like, we've done this for so long. Let's try to figure out how to maybe get it monetized or like whatever. Because like we, not as much recently, but in like year to even still now, we've put a lot of our personal like free time into our podcast, because like we don't have like a crew.
There's just me and you, baby.
We got the phone on, the tripod. We upgraded to a new.
To our roadcasters.
We upgraded to this. Like,
we've evolved, because podcasting, we know now people like to watch podcasts. So it's about evolution.
Yeah.
And I really want to transition into talking about talent in terms of entertainment. And define, like, because I said earlier, we could spot talent or when things are going well, or like someone's doing this really well. I want to shout someone out really quick. So,
okay.
BB Rexa, I know you're like, wait, what? So, I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but it's making headlines. BB Rexa is releasing an album, but she's doing it in increments. She said in an interview, I saw a snippet, she said something like, I've worked so long and hard on this music that I want to put it out there, and for every single to have its own moment to shine, which makes so much sense to me, because I think if any artist that releases an album, they'll like release the first single maybe like 4 or 5 months early, then in 2 more months another single, then in the day the album releases it another single, and then all the other songs kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Because you're just like listening to the album and you're like just playing maybe like the same like 3 to 5 songs that you like, and the other songs never get their moment to shine.
Yeah.
And it's something that, like, I guess if you would have brought this up to me a month ago before I knew about her like this new style that she's doing, I would have been like, yeah, I guess you're right, but it's not something that I necessarily like really realize, but I'm also not in that industry, and I'm not like super, versed on releasing music or albums,
Right.
So she is basically, I think there's 12 songs. She's recorded 12 music videos. And I think it's every 2 weeks, she's going to release a new song. So I think it's the first week is a music video, and then the second week is a single for that music video. And then she releases another song, and she's pretty much going to do this. I mean, do the math, it's like 24 weeks, and then the album's all going to come out.
Yeah.
And I think this is such a brilliant strategy.
It's good
because
to showcase each song, and it's like, because you're right. Like if a person, like an artist, came out with an album, there's usually only 1 or 2 songs that make it into like maybe the top 100, or if they're like mainstream artists, like there's only usually like 1 or 2 that people are like, oh yeah, that one's like really popular that you like, and then all the other songs you're like, they're like meh.
Yeah, exactly. But if they get their own moment to shine, and you're like, you're excited for the next single, like, oh, what's going to be next? And then you're going to start listening to it. And, I don't know if this happens to you. I feel like this happens to everyone. But sometimes you listen to a song the first time and you're like, that was okay. But if you keep listening to that song, you're going to be like, oh, wait, now I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So this is what she's doing, because every week a new song is going to be added to the album. Right. So if you're listening right now, she has 2 singles released right now. If you listen to her album, you just hear those 2 songs.
Yeah.
So eventually, maybe after, 10 weeks, the song that came out, maybe you didn't like it. Now you're all of a sudden going to start liking it, because you're like, well, I've heard it a million times. Now I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So I just think this is such a brilliant, and I love when creators think outside the box like this. I love when people think of like, I want to display my work where every single song that I've worked so hard on has its own, time in the spotlight. I
Yeah.
just think that's a brilliant strategy. And 12
Well,
music videos, that's a lot of
and
music
it's
videos.
different. Like no one like no other like music artist has done something like this before. So it's all like automatically capturing people's attention.
Yeah.
People are intrigued. They're like, "Oh my gosh." It's like actually giving like an excitement factor. You're like, "Oh my god, a new like song's going to be released every single week or like the music video or whatever." Like every single week, and so it's like you're looking forward to something dropping every week like from her.
Yeah, and she's
So,
having people vote on her website for the next single.
see, that's another
So she's
thing.
involving the audience and seeing what's on popular demand. You know that I love that shit. Like I'm like, let's ask the audience, like, what do they want? Like, what do they want to see?
Well,
I'm
and
always
making
asking
them
that
feel a
question,
part of
making
it.
them feel a part of the creative
Yeah.
process. So I just think this is such a brilliant strategy, and I'm really excited to see how it ends up because it is an experiment.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see like what the end result is. Like if it's successful. I mean, it seems like it's doing really well so far. I mean, I think something like she released this video I think on YouTube where it was a snippet of every song, like every little music video, a little snippet. I'll show it to you after this. And I think it has like got like over 1 million views already. And so people are like very intrigued. They're like, well, this is so new. And like in this day and age of entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
when so much has already been done, thinking of something new can be hard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you're looking what other people are doing and you're like, oh, let me try and emulate that because that made them successful. Instead of being like, how can I stand out? Because sometimes standing out, it's a risk. Sometimes it doesn't work.
I feel like even nowadays where social media is like the center point of everything to ultimately getting noticed, getting something to happen for yourself, like a big viral moment or something. Like it's so popular now that everyone's trying to do that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder to have something like that happen compared to like 5 or 6 years ago.
Social media is such a blessing and a curse because everyone with the phone right there,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has it in their fingertips that they can be a content creator.
Yeah.
Every single person can be a content creator, which makes the market incredibly oversaturated.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's competing against each other. But you have to take into account that there's so many people in the world that everyone can be successful as long as they're consistent and as long as they put out good content, people will come back and keep listening. And that's why we don't get discouraged with the podcast because we're like, we just have to break into an audience that knows like that we're, you know what I'm saying?
And
like
that's why we're, ultimately transitioning mostly to TikTok right now because it's like TikTok is like honestly the best like social media creation that has been made because it caters to every single person in every single way in all the all the niches and stuff, like everything that you personally like are in, like if you're into cars, if you're into movies, if you're into something, if you're into cleaning, like and you're making videos about that, it's gonna show the people who also enjoy that. And I think that's so like different compared to every other social media. I mean, like
the algorithm is so advanced now. With
yes.
even like Instagram, I'll like something and all of a sudden I'm like, that's all I'm getting on my feed. Like TikTok, this is actually so funny. I liked one thing from like Pirates of the Caribbean. It was like of the ocean with the Pirates of the Caribbean sound. It wasn't even about Pirates of the Caribbean. And now I'm on like Pirates of the Caribbean TikTok.
No,
and I keep like scrolling and I'm like, this is all like Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny. I'm like, I love those movies. But I'm like, I did not know it was going to be on this TikTok ride,
but but ultimately, long story short, that is good for creators who are trying to be noticed.
Yes.
In a sense, like even if it's something as little as cleaning, you're making cleaning videos, you're going to reach those people who maybe are obsessed with cleaning or want to be better at cleaning or want to find the best cleaning products.
Cleaning hacks. That's why the sounds and the hashtags and even the words you use in your captions have to be very intentional
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you break into that, the audience. And it's
Yeah.
this way like where you could use like hashtag podcasts, but then you kind of like, what kind of podcasts are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what it's like. The hashtags used to be very intentional
Right.
and very specific. That's what I've learned is like very, very
Right.
specific, because if you use a general hashtag, like a lot of people use like For You page.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
it's like a funny video that's like really, really could cater to any audience and it's like someone doing something stupid,
Uh-huh.
that's when I think you should do hashtag FYP. But if you're just doing a clip from a podcast, hashtag FYP is not going to help you because you're going to go to an audience that doesn't want to see your stuff.
Yeah, pretty much the more specific you are, the better you are going to probably get noticed by a lot more
Exactly.
people.
And that's why I started like not really using hashtag podcasts anymore, because I'm like, I do sometimes if I'm like running out of ideas, I'm like, maybe hashtag podcast. But I'm also just like, like that is going to bring us to an audience of like, what kind of podcast
Yeah,
do
like
they
what,
want?
like we're gonna go into like criminal,
Yeah. And then if we're talking
like,
about
minds.
like, entertainment or like talent, and they're looking for like a Criminal Minds podcast, they're gonna see your stuff and be like, nope. And then that hurts your watch through rate or click through rate, something like that. Yeah, it hurts you. But ultimately, it hurts your video if people don't watch it long enough and they just swipe up. Your video, the algorithm's gonna be like, people aren't gonna like you, and then they're just moving you down. That's why the women's wrestling stuff is doing really good on my podcast.
Yes.
And the movies ones that we did for the Face Off is also doing good because of the very specific hashtags and the backgrounds and the sounds.
Yes.
All relate to the same thing. So if you're looking for like the K-pop Demon Hunters little clip we did, it had the K-pop Demon Hunters poster, then us, then the K-pop Demon Hunters song, hashtag K-pop Demon Hunters, hashtag Netflix, whatever. And then all of a sudden you're hitting that target audience.
Right.
You were hitting the bullseye with them because all three of the visuals, the song, the hashtag, it all lines up.
The algorithm is like, it's so funny because it's weird talking about the algorithm because it's not like, in that sense, it wants you to be so specific because it's lazy.
Yeah.
And it's like when you hit all those points, like the example you just gave, it's going to be like, okay, K-pop Demon Hunters. We're shooting that out to those fans. Those people that are liking those things. Like particular to that,
right.
K-pop Demon Hunters or the song or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're showing, the algorithm is shooting that video out to all those people who have maybe ever liked a K-pop Demon Hunter video of some sort.
And we've been on this ride of like figuring this out with the algorithm. I feel like I've just started to like crack the code of like, oh my God, it just clicked in my head. Like, oh my gosh, yes, everything needs to align. Cause like even like 2 months ago, our videos had kind of like the black.
Yeah.
So automatically there's no visual.
Yeah.
So people see it and they're like, what the heck is this
because
clip?
it all
You
looks
need to
the
capture
same.
their attention of like, whoa, this thing's coming into, K-pop Demon Hunters. You know what I'm saying? You need that first like 2 to 3 seconds needs to captivate their attention or you've lost them. People's
Right.
attention spans are so short these days that you need those first few seconds are vital in capturing their attention. Then if they like your clip, they're like, oh wait, let me click on their Instagram or their TikTok and let me go and look at their other videos. And then they're like, then that's how you get a follow.
Right. And like even right now, like obviously we're on camera.
Right.
But it's like that's strictly to go onto YouTube and then like, the clips that we use. But it's like if you're watching us on YouTube, let us know because I think it's so interesting because when I think of people putting like our episode up on like either it's their TV or their phone or something, like I feel like they're not watching us, they're listening to us still, but we're on like in the background. But if you're sitting there like actually watching us, kudos to you because I love that. I have ADHD like as fuck. So like sorry for swearing, but like
swear. We're E for explicit
we're
baby.
explicit. But like no, I have to have something on like if it's on YouTube, like I'll put like a YouTube video of something on, or I'll put music on, and then I'm doing something else, and then I got something else going on the other
Yep.
side. But I'm still listening to what's going on. Let me, like, if you're like this and you are watching us on YouTube, but like not really watching us, or if you are, let us
Mm.
know in the comments because I would love to know.
Well, I think everyone's watching, like, everyone is different because for me, I can't put a YouTube video on the TV and watch it.
Yeah.
I hate that. I just can't do it. I put it on, I put it on my phone in my pocket or like on the charger and I put my AirPods in and that's how I'll listen to a YouTube video. And
Right.
yeah, like if there's some creators that I watch that they use visuals or like photos popping up or whatever, but for the most part, I get the gist. I can't sit and watch like a YouTube video on the TV, but that's
Right.
where people are different. But I want to talk about entertainment actually, like for a little bit with you
Yeah.
because you also asked me this question like recently, or we were talking about like episode ideas, and this is something we can elaborate on in the future. But I want to like kind of dive into it a little bit in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I love content. You know, the main purpose of entertainment and content is to make somebody feel something.
Yes.
Whether that's making you cry, whether that's making you laugh, smile, scared, whatever it is, if people aren't reacting to what you're putting out there, if they're sitting there like stone cold face, no emotion, you're not connecting with them.
Right.
So we'll just go through, I guess, maybe like one movie each. Or maybe two. We'll see.
Okay.
What is a movie you can think of right now that really, even to this day, you've watched it like a million times and you still like react, whether that's laughing, crying, smiling, maybe it's making you feel more than one emotion, which is like, oh my God, you're hitting the nail right on the head if you can make people feel like all the emotions, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I can think of two, actually three right off the bat.
Oh,
but
okay.
I will give one that's gonna be a little different. Like, obviously, like, if you know me, but if you don't, and this is the first time you're like getting introduced to us, I have a Harry Potter tattoo on my forearm.
Period.
So I love Harry Potter, like I always have. That is obviously a franchise that has made an impact emotionally on me, as well as Star Wars. I know you're probably like, oh my God, she's a nerd.
But that's what we honestly are target audience is like kind of nerds. Like we love this.
We
shit.
love talking about stuff like that.
Entertainment, we love.
But those two, like one of the two biggest franchises in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, they've made an emotional impact, I feel like, on hundreds and millions of people. But those two for sure. But one I'm gonna share that is big, but you would probably be surprised that I say it, is Transformers.
Ooh, I've only seen the first one.
So I've only watched the first three. After the first three, I'm like, whatever. Like I kind of like stopped watching.
It's like there's like
I'm
10 at
sorry.
this
I'm
point.
sorry if you love the ones after that. I know. I'm just gonna disclaimer. I know Shia LaBeouf has been getting into some trouble lately.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Didn't he like punch someone or something?
He did something, yeah. But all that aside, back in the day, like I have seen the first three Transformers like more than a handful of times, probably like 20 times each.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but they just made a strong emotional impact on me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the storytelling. I don't know if it was the writing. I don't know if it was the actors. I think it was maybe all of them. But
I think too, when you watch, like, not to cut you off, but I think when you watch a movie when you're young, it can have a bigger impact on you. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Arguably, like, is this a thing? Like, maybe we could research the science behind it. But I think that adding that element of nostalgia to it really helps you connect with the movie because you're like, I grew up watching this movie and now watching it as an adult. It's harder, I feel like, to make a longer lasting effect when you see a movie as an adult, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know.
I think it was like even like Transformers, like, you know, Shia LaBeouf, his character, like he was going through like such a weird, like he was like in the first one he was in high school, so he's still trying to figure out himself, but then he's going through like all this crazy things that are happening, like aliens and, you know, the Transformers and stuff. And it's like through all the movies, he's essentially trying to find his purpose. And he thinks
Mm.
his purpose is saving the world to some capacity. So like you notice in the third one, like it starts out the movie he's like with Bombshell, like Rosie Huntington Whiteley, who kind of like replaces Megan Fox, but she's still like I think really good in that movie, and that's why I really like it still. But it starts out the movie he does not have a job. The whole point of like the whole first half of the third movie is him trying going on all these interviews trying to get a job, but none of it ever satisfies him because he feels like his purpose is to like work with the Autobots and like save the world, like essentially kind of working for the government. And he has to keep it a secret. Like he can't tell anyone like he's done all this stuff. So he's like in the interviews telling like respectfully like no, like I can't tell you how or why, but I've saved your life twice.
So why did that like story like really connect with you?
I think cuz he's trying to find his purpose, and I think
Mm.
me personally I've gone through working a lot of different types of jobs like in my whole like 20s. Like I've worked so many jobs, I think more than like the average person. That's like in that age range, and it's like it's because nothing has ever like satisfied me, and it's like I I think that's when the ADHD too kicks in, and I get bored, and like I lose interest, and I want to move on to something more exciting, something that's going to satisfy me.
Yeah, because every time like you move on to something new, it's like, oh, it's so exciting. Like it's like, wow, this is amazing. It feels like exhilarating. Like I feel excited. And
Hmm.
then the longer you stay somewhere, sometimes it becomes more like draining, like, ugh, I gotta do this again, you know?
And see, I've never even like thought about that till you just asked me that question. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm still going through that now.
And
And
that's
it's
why, yeah.
like, so it's just like those movies have always kind of left an emotional impact on me. And I'm like, maybe it's just like the character is so relatable. Like, not in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of like me saving the world, but like in a sense of like, where like maybe I think entertainment is my purpose, but here I am working, and an average basic job that like is nothing wrong with it, but it's not fulfilling me.
It doesn't like light your soul on fire. It doesn't make you want to like get out of bed in the morning,
It doesn't like
you know?
it like I don't hate it like my job that I work right now. Other all my other jobs I've had in the past, yes, I'm like I need a change, or it was sucking
Mm-hmm.
the soul out of me, and it's like I need to figure out what my purpose is, and it's like I feel like I know what my purpose is, but it's like that purpose it's hard to break into, you
It's
know?
hard finding your purpose, and sometimes it takes you like a long time to figure it out, and then you finally are like, you do something and then it like hits you. You're like, oh, this is my purpose, you know? For me,
Yeah.
I think for me, the movie that like makes me like feel emotion, I think is Titanic, which is
I,
crazy.
yes.
Um,
We love
but
Titanic.
I really think it hit me because I used to watch Titanic like a lot kind of as a kid,
Mhm.
and I hadn't seen it in like years. And I
Mhm.
just rewatched it like a few months ago, and it still made me feel like what I like about Titanic is there's something I feel like new that I notice every time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because it's such like a deep, emotional, like tragic story. Like I don't know if that like just hits me in the feels,
Mhm.
but I think it's like, you could even resonate a little bit more with Jack's character now because he's like a struggling like creator
Mhm.
who's trying to make it. And then you have Rose, like they're from two different worlds, and then they like meet and their opposites kind of like attract because they're both very like curious and
Mhm.
intrigued about the other's life.
Live, yeah.
More so Rose about Jack, but I feel like Jack also with Rose, he doesn't show it as much, but I
He
think he's very intrigued by her lifestyle of living this like rich life is something he never got to experience, and like, you know what I'm saying? I think that
yeah.
he's very intrigued by her as well. So I think that it's just that it makes me more like so like sad, of
Yeah.
course, like seeing them fall in love, which just makes you like smile and it's happy. But then
Mhm.
also like, feeling like when Jack dies, you know, or like when she goes and she's going to the Statue of Liberty and
Mm-hmm.
she says like her name is Rose Dawson. You know, it's like kind of like cheesy a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's it and then it's like one thing that I love about this movie, it's a little like Easter egg. It has a lot of Easter eggs in it,
Yeah.
which I appreciate that. Is when she's dying, like in bed when she's on the ship at the end, you see that she did everything that Jack told her they were gonna do together. But she
Yeah.
did it alone.
Yeah.
Like he's like, we're gonna ride a horse on the beach in Malibu like a man or something, like no side saddle. And
Right.
she did it. Like you're seeing all these pictures of her life and she's done everything that they were gonna do together
Right.
and she still did it. And I think it's kind of like something that if you're not really paying attention, you might just be like, oh, like pictures of her life, nice. But if you really connect that, and that's what I like about it too, I think it makes you kind of think, and it's like really the people that created this film were thinking about that kind of stuff of like,
Yeah.
let's add these little details. Creators don't necessarily need to add the little details, but
Yeah.
it adds so much to the story.
Right.
It adds so much to the overall plot and it adds so much to the movie overall. You know what I'm saying? Where if you can watch it every single time and be like, oh, I never noticed that. Like, for example, another thing that I like noticed one of the times I was watching is like the nice like maid that is in with Rose and Cal,
Mm-hmm.
Trudy. She's so sweet. You like actually see her die.
Oh my
And
gosh.
like I never noticed that. Like she's like holding on when the ship is going and they're like, Trudy, and she's like, ah! And she like falls and I'm like,
Oh.
Trudy, like not Trudy. And then it's like then but the first time I noticed it, I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden you're just like tearing up because you're like, Trudy. Like Trudy really never made it out, you know? Like
Right. So
and so it's just like crazy. It's
Yeah.
like connects, makes you feel like, you know, a lot of different emotions, like happiness,
I was like, so
sadness.
ultimately, like, what made it connect the most for you? Like, what do you think? Is there like a certain part or like a character you relate the most to where you were like, that's why I felt the way I felt with this movie?
I don't know if it's necessarily like a character, but I think it's more of the storyline. I
Is it
think
more like
that
life short and you don't really realize it?
maybe a little bit of that, but I think it's more so about the romance and that anything is possible. I
Yeah.
think that's where it makes you like kind of think about like, you know, something can happen. Life is crazy. Something can happen out of nowhere. Every
Yeah.
single day when you wake up in the morning, something can happen to you that you never would have thought could happen to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you would have told either of those characters, like, oh, you're gonna be loving this poor guy who has nothing, Rose would be like, absolutely not. And then if you would tell Jack, like, oh, you're gonna be with this rich girl who's like from a completely different world, he'd be like, probably not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think it's that element of like just the magic of it all. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Plus, like, it's a good love story. And I think the continuation of the story, it's a very basic plot line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You go from
Easy to follow.
point A, easy to follow, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. But you know,
Right.
like it's like the ship is taking off and it's going, the voyage is starting, like they're falling in love. And then all of a sudden you know the crash is gonna happen, and then all of a sudden it changes. I think that's what makes the movie exciting, even though it is 3 hours.
That's where like the intensity comes in.
Is it's
you
not
know?
just like this sappy romance and it's like action and intensity and it's like what's gonna happen next, you know?
Mhm.
And I think it's that sort of change in the plot. I think if it was 3 hours of the sappy love story and they all got off the boat and they were happy and everything, I don't think it would have impacted me as much.
Right.
But it's just knowing what's coming and then seeing their fight for it. And every time you watch the movie, you're like, oh, like can't Jack just survive this time? You know what I'm saying? It's the same
Right.
thing with like going back to Star Wars of like when Anakin like turns bad.
Oh my god.
Or when, you know, when Snape freaking betrays Dumbledore and smacks him and
Mhm.
spells him right off the side of the castle. You know,
Those
it's
are,
just
like-
moments like that that really stick with you of like, damn,
Emotional moments or like gasp worthy moments where like, especially like, these are spoilers if you haven't seen like these movies, but like
Yeah.
Harry Potter, like with Snape, he acts like he's bad,
Yeah.
the whole time, and you think he's bad, you think he's like being a little sneaky, and then he really, kills Dumbledore, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're like, damn, and then it solidifies it for you, but then you find out later that
He
that
had to.
he had to. It was supposed to happen that way, and that's how, Dumbledore wanted it to go. And like if you really look back at it, like it made sense because Dumbledore literally tells Harry to get Snape. And
And that's
so
the little things of like noticing, going back and being like when he dies and he like collects his tears and you see it, you're just like, oh, you're like, okay, so all of that makes sense.
mhm.
The past things. And even like, I know you haven't seen this, and like, this is actually a spoiler, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm saying like a recent movie. I
Mhm.
just saw Wuthering Heights.
Mhm.
Not if you've seen the TikToks of like people coming out of Wuthering Heights like sobbing
Mm-mm.
and being
I haven't
like,
seen
don't
anything.
see it. Like it's actually hilarious. I haven't personally seen that, but my friends like were telling me about the TikToks, and then after I saw it, I saw them.
It's so
But
funny.
basically, like everybody in the theater was like crying at the end of Wuthering Heights, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? Why did we just go and see this movie?" And
Yeah.
so that's a recent movie which you haven't seen. I'm not going to spoil anything because it's in theaters still, but that's a good one from 2026. If you haven't seen it, you
Mhm.
should see it because it definitely has that emotional connection. Definitely it's definitely a little sad, but
But we're,
still
overall,
emotional.
we're very much love the entertainment industry. And like we, people are probably like, "Oh my god, why do they talk about movies and characters all the time?" And like these are reasons why we talk about this. We are like in love with the storytelling and the creating and the casting of certain movies, and these are just two little like examples of like two movies from one from each of us that have pulled our heartstrings in some sort of way to be like, you know what, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
And
Like, I
it's
want to be a
like,
part of that storytelling process. Like, I want to be in the room when they come up with this. I want to be a part of the casting because casting is huge.
I think we love casting, and maybe we'll do that in some future episodes. But maybe like not necessarily movies that are being made, but maybe movies that we think that should be made,
And we
and
fantasy cast.
we cast them ourselves, and
I
just
think
like
that might have to be next week's episode.
see
I
that's
think that
something
sounds
like
really fun to us. Like, we kind of like give a character and then we're like, who should play that character?
yeah. But like honestly,
Mhm.
this is something that like like when I was younger, like 18, like pretty much going into college, I knew something about me wanted to be in the entertainment industry. And I couldn't figure out if it was because I wanted to be an actor or if I wanted to be behind the camera. Like
Mhm.
like being a part of the crew of some sort, or casting director, producer, something. I don't think I would want to be a director because I think that's a little more
I
complex.
think eventually, once you've been working behind the scenes for a while, then you could become a director. But it's
Right.
not something that like it's something that sounds really intimidating right now because you're like, well, I don't even know the first thing about it,
Right.
But if you keep working those roles and you watch the director, and even if you have a mentor,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden maybe like you could be
Yeah,
like, okay,
maybe
well, I could do that.
no, and I'm totally open. Like my perspective on that could change. But I thought it was acting. I took
Mm.
acting classes. I took an acting intro to acting. I took stage combat. And what I learned from doing that was like it was fun, but I don't think it's for me. I want to be behind the camera.
I think for me it's both. I think if I was
I
brought
oh yeah,
a
I
role,
think
I think I'd do what I think I would love to play
yeah.
a role, but as long as like I'm reading the script and I'm like, I could nail this character.
Right.
But it's like it's a little bit of both. But this is kind of us like, being open and honest with you guys, having this conversation. Write down some things that you think you're talented at or that you're talented at, and really think about that question. Going back to our initial question, like really think about it. And then maybe pivot your life. Maybe if you're like, I'm not living my life purpose. And it doesn't have to be overnight. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm changing careers, I'm quitting my job. Just start making a move in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like we did, like this podcast. Like if we were sitting on our phones, just like scrolling through TikTok, doing nothing with entertainment, just being like, we want to be in entertainment one day and not doing anything to try and get there, then all of a sudden you're just wishing upon a star and nobody's going to come up and walk up to you one day and be like, hey, do you want to be in
Yeah.
this
You're not
this
going to get a
movie? You're not
Yeah.
going to get ahead unless you do something small in your life or that could turn into something big.
Yeah,
So
like,
just take with that what you will and, go out there and live your
and
purpose.
I'm like, also let us know, like, is there a movie or a TV show that maybe you're like, oh my God, maybe one of the movies we said, even though we both only said one each, but like, let us know, like, what movie made you fall in love with maybe enjoying watching movies or being excited to go to the movie theater? Like, is there something that, you know, just, tugged at you,
Exactly.
you
Made you
know?
feel
Let us
something.
know in the
And
comments.
yeah, let us know. Comment. Follow me on Instagram at Eric Mercero. And then,
You can follow me on Instagram.
or not Instagram, I'm sorry, TikTok.
Oh, well, Instagram
To
too.
Instagram and TikTok.
But I think both of my Instagram and TikToks are at Lainey Johnson 26.
Period. And we'll see you next week.